Chapter 673 Paying the Price Part 1. Camila looked at her assailants' faces, but the two men were strangers to her. Her eyes then searched the alley for her communication amulet and the main street for a passerby who could help her to contact the authorities, but no one was around. A spark of light and a buzzing sound preceded a Tier 2 lightning spell that struck her chest and caused her a seizure. Without the armor Lith had given her, the electricity would have caused Camila severe injuries and made her faint, instead of just inflicting upon her the equivalent of a brief taser shock. So much for professionals. They got their asses handed to them by a woman. My father was right when he said that if you want a job done right, you got to do it yourself. Falmug said, unleashing a second bolt of lightning before Camila could recover. She pumped more of her mana inside her skinwalker armor, but with her weak mana core and after already using its metallizing properties thrice, she was already running on fumes. Yet it was enough for Lith's masterpiece to completely deflect the spell. Are you insane, Falmug? Attacking a royal constable in the middle of a populated area? The guards will be here any moment. Camila was dizzy from the shock and the lack of mana, so she decided to try and bluff her way out. She had a few wands inside her pockets, but she was in no condition to win a contest of speed against someone pointing a weapon at her from such a close distance. I'm not stupid. Why do you think I hired those two buffoons? Another lightning came, but this time she was able to dodge. I know the city guard's reaction time, it will take them a while to get here. Those two idiots were supposed to help me kidnap you, but now I've got no time for being nice. Tell me where my wife is or die. Despite his rage, his voice barely higher than a whisper. He was afraid that someone could hear the ruckus and alert the authorities. The citizens of Belius were famous for being unreasonably paranoid. Before making his move, Falmug had been forced to wait that Lith was out of the picture and then for the occasion when the street in front of Camila's home was deserted. Despite his twisted personality, Falmug had come well prepared, hired help so that he wouldn't get directly involved, a means of transportation to abduct Camila unnoticed, and an illegal wand as a contingency plan. Unluckily for him, everything was going south. The men he had recruited were down, he couldn't lift Camila by himself, and the wand seemed to be defective since she was still conscious and screaming. You shouldn't have stuck your nose where it doesn't belong, Falmug said. Now tell me where my wife is and we can solve this peacefully. His words didn't match at all with his crazed eyes. Camila knew that her brother-in-law couldn't afford to let her live. Otherwise he would become one of the most wanted men in the kingdom. The army didn't take well when someone went after one of their own, even less if a constable was involved. Falmug looked nervously left and right, he couldn't afford witnesses. That night, he would have to kill and dispose of the bodies of 3 people already, more wouldn't fit into his carriage. Camila and his hired muscle had to die. He couldn't afford anyone being able to link him to attacking a royal constable. The lighter sentence for such a crime was death. I really didn't want to do this, but you leave me no choice. You forced me to. Roll over and die. A voice coming from behind him cut him short. At the same time, a small but strong hand caught Falmug's wrist, twisting it backward so that his wand was now pointed at his own face. Then, a low kick broke his left femur in 3 and a palm strike sent his face slamming against a wall and flattened his nose. Lady Ernaz, what are you doing here? Camila was glad to see her mentor. She was physically fine, but the lack of mana was giving her a strong headache. Her vision was blurry and she had trouble focusing. Giving you a lesson, child, Jirni replied. This is what happens when you underestimate your enemies. What a stupid bitch, Falmug thought. She should follow her own advice and remember I still have my wand. A stream of lightning came out of the alchemical tool as he unleashed more than one charge at once. There wasn't time to play anymore. He had to kill them both quickly and get away from there. Unfortunately for him, the needle in Jirni's hand absorbed the spells without letting even a spark reaching its master. I didn't mean to scare you, Jirni explained, while completely ignoring Falmug. I had to wait until he revealed himself as part of the attempt on your life and more importantly, I wanted you to realize that this isn't a fairy tale. Some people will do anything to get what they want. Playing fair will only get you killed. Do you see that scum? Falmug released more lightning bolts, yet they were all absorbed by Jirni's needle. That's what you get for leaving him alive. If you want to keep doing this job, you need to grow up. Not asking for my help nor for Lith's when he was still here was stupid. What would have happened if I hadn't been following you all this time? Here, let me show you. Jirni threw the needle at Falmug's nether regions. Once it hit, the needle released the stored bolts of lightning one at a time, causing Falmug to lose control of both his wands. Look at what he had planned for you. At the pain he would have inflicted upon you if not for your armor. Maybe he would have even let his goons have some fun with you as part of their payment. Jirni said. Then she waved her hand and the needle returned to her. Even in her confused state, Camila shuddered at the thought of what could have happened if she hadn't accepted the skinwalker armor Lith had gifted her. One blow would have been enough to take her out. Then, without Jirni, her fate would have been sealed. All of her dreams for the future, all the things she had planned to share with her sister, all the hard work she had put into becoming a constable, would have been destroyed by a petty man for his own petty reasons. Now, we can arrest them and have them executed. I can do it for you right now, or even better, you should do it. Jirni pointed at the pocket where Camila kept her wands. Please, no, have mercy. I've got a family that depends on me. I was just doing my job. The man with the broken arm, the only one still conscious, said. And so am I, Jirni replied. In our line of work, you'll hear pathetic excuses like this one countless times. No matter their reasons, the penalty will be death. The only question is, do you have the guts to defend what's yours? She offered Camilla a non-imprinted wand, ready to be used. I do. Camilla stood up, her mind was getting clearer by the second. Yet I'm not like you, Lady Ernest. I can't put down a helpless man. It would make me no different from them, a cold-blooded killer. But I killed her husband so that she could inherit everything and get her children back. She would never forgive me, and neither could I. What I can do is to turn them in and ask for the maximum sentence. Which is being tortured to death. Gierney smiled. Killing them on the spot was actually the greatest act of mercy they could do to her assailants. Exactly. Camilla nodded while recovering her communication amulet. I'm not going to dirty my hands nor my conscience for these scums. They have made their choices and they will pay the consequences. Excellent choice, dear, Gierney said, putting the wand back inside her utility belt. Do you want me to inform your sister about what happened to her late husband? Thanks for your offer, but I want to be the one to break the news to her. She deserves that much. Expedition Team Camp, in the same moment. During the 4 days necessary to restore Kula's levels of oxygen to the point that it would be possible to use fire magic within its premises, there wasn't much Lith's group could do. Kyla decided to use that time to follow the physical training routine Lith had suggested to her and to learn a few Tier 4 offensive spells. Lith and Floria pooled her knowledge about runes and his about forge mastering to decipher the booklet from her reel. They didn't progress much. The ancient language was gibberish to them, and even though Floria helped him to convert some of the old runes into modern ones, her knowledge of runesmithing was too shallow to understand the purpose of the blueprints just by looking at their pictures. Do you think I could show one of the pages to Yandra and ask her for help? Lith said. It's a huge gamble. Floria shook her head. These kinds of runes are too advanced for the ODI. A royal forge master like her is likely to realize that yours it's just a ruse. Even if she falls for it, she might always ask you to share your discovery with the rest of the group, and at that point, you're likely to get caught. Don't forget that runesmithing is a state secret. The army might confiscate the booklet if they knew it's in your possession. Lith had to agree with her. Either he told Yandra the truth or he risked doing a lot of damage. If Yandra started basing her plans to counter the ODI on the booklet, it would lead her and the others astray and might cause their demise. The more Lith discovered about the ODI, the higher the expectations to find a cure for his reincarnation problem. They had been raving mad, but their mastery in light magic was something that would have impressed even Professor Minower. Those days were the first real break Lith and Floria had got in months. Despite the fact that they were near a death trap, they both enjoyed the time spent together. They felt as if they were back at the academy, finally speaking with someone who could understand their respective problems. Tista was too ignorant to help Lith in his experiments, and Camilla wasn't even a mage. That part of his life was quite lonely, and up to that moment, Solus was the only partner he had ever had in his quest for knowledge. Floria had a lot of pent-up stress due to her personal life in the army. Her rank, build, and family created a divide between Floria and her peers. Her soldiers respected her, but they were no friends. There were boundaries that had to be kept for discipline to be preserved. Between her job, learning forge mastering from Orion, and improving her skills as a mage knight, her social life was almost non-existent. Now she had someone who wasn't intimidated by her rank or height. Someone who could practice both sword and magic with her, not caring about winning but just about learning. The level of competition between the young captains was akin to that she had experienced as a student in the White Griffin. All those below her in the rankings wanted to see her fail, while those above felt threatened by Floria and kept her at arm's length. The only problem with their renewed friendship was that by spending so much time alone in such a confined space, rumors were bound to be born. Hence they made sure to spend as much time with others as well. Floria trained her soldiers in Kyla, along with anyone who was willing to improve their physical prowess, while Lith sought Yandra for knowledge. During dinner, the day after they had defeated the golems, Lith asked, "What's that tuning fork you used to break the water tanks for?" "Do you mean the dampener?" She took the magical item out of her pocket and handed it to Lith. "It's one of my creations. As you have seen, it has the ability to prevent other enchanted items to absorb mana." "That's amazing," Lith said while scanning it with invigoration. Just like Floria's hairpin, it was covered in energy runes invisible to the naked eye. "Why didn't you use it against Kula's door or the golems? It would have saved us a lot of time." "You misunderstood me, young spirit." Yandra laughed. Her giving Lith the same moniker Nana used for so many years stung at his heart. Kula's door was solid and its array was fueled from the inside, just like the golems. The tanks, instead, were made of a material that would have shattered after being hit by our spells if not for their ability to absorb our mana. My dampener simply jammed such ability so that our spells could demonstrate their real prowess. There is no such thing as a skeleton key for arrays, otherwise the kingdom would have made me a magus rather than a professor. "Do you mind if I examine it with a spell of mine?" Lith asked. "Be my guest." Yandra smiled. "I'll consider it as a proof of your goodwill in becoming my heir. You can tell a lot about a forge master's talent by how much information they can acquire with their spells. We and healers have a lot in common. Diagnostic spells are the foundation for both specializations." Lith spewed gibberish before returning the dampener. "That's truly a masterpiece. I can see you have infused it with at least 10 spells. 12 actually, but still pretty close." Yandra put it back into her pocket. Lith was actually capable of determining the number of spells held by an enchanted item by studying its pseudo-core and mana pathways, but he preferred to play it close to the vest. He'd rather like to be considered brilliant than threatening. Thanks, but one thing surprised me quite a bit. How come there are runes on it? Your spell allows you to see runes? Yandra was flabbergasted. A few months ago, I found this inside her reel. Lith took the rune-covered sword out of his pocket dimension. I've been studying its runes ever since, and after Professor Nishal's explanation about the ancient runes, I was surprised that no one taught me about them at the YG. Put it away before someone sees it, you idiot. Yandra said, you are lucky that no one is around.